Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody is doing absolutely incredible. I know I am. I don't know if my TikTok stuff is functioning properly, but we'll see what happens. I know this is functioning properly. I'm pretty excited about it. So we've got the ability to check it out on YouTube and everywhere else. So it is so awesome to see everybody today, and the title is one of my favorites because we are certainly going to have some fun. Good morning, One Punch. Good morning, Mr. Davis. And good morning, Tech Examined. It's good here. All right. The problem is the chat is not going over from our stuff here. So let's see if we can get that to do what it's supposed to do. I'm trying to get the TikTok chat stuff to function. So what I'm going to do is we're going to delete this again. And we're going to add it again. Scintillating live stuff here going on. But we're gonna get it working. We were able to do there we go. We were able to get the some of the stuff to work very, very well. So technology, you know it, brother. We're all tech minded. Michael, could you put some chat in the TikTok and let's see if we got it now. We do. Hey. So now we've got everything actually functioning properly. I'm pretty excited about it. So we're going to be able to actually do this. So I am wearing one of my favorite rock t-shirts, metal t-shirts, in honor of my subject matter today, which is the death of live music. Now, Iced Earth is not super well known. They're certainly not in the mainstream of metal music or anything like that. And I never would have discovered them had I not been to, I'm pretty sure it was a Mastodon show, in a small club where these guys opened up. And that's how you found music back in the day, especially up-and-coming bands that were new to me or to anybody else. And that just doesn't exist anymore. Period. You can't find... you can't really go to small clubs and watch live music anymore. And I don't know exactly why that is, but it is what it is. So you could probably say that COVID might have been the death knell of at least live metal. Most of the small clubs that continued to bring bands in, especially the kind of bands we're talking about, where they're not the tippy tops, but they were up and coming bands. And in my case, we're talking about Trivium and Iced Earth and Mastodon, and all of those bands would tour these small clubs, bring along opening acts with them. In this moment, I saw multiple times in little clubs, and you don't see, you don't have that anymore. If you want to go see a band now, this Saturday, I'm going to see Slayer, and it's a big stadium show. And there are a bunch of opening acts like Exodus and a couple of others. But the point is, it's not a thing that you can do in a local club anymore. I mean, I've seen Megadeth in a club that's smaller than my house, easily. Jeff Davis said, established bands used to visit local unknowns to open small venues to give them experience and exposure. And that's exactly right. That is a piece of the industry that does not exist anymore at all. So if you want to see any of these bands or anything like that, you got to go to these stupid stadium shows which cost $150. When it used to be, I could go to these small clubs, I could pay a $20 cover, I'd drink beer all night and enjoy 2 or 3 bands, most of which were unknown. Usually the headliner was semi-known. Bands like Trivium and In This Moment, which were semi-known bands at the time. And it was great. The metal music scene is unfortunately, and the rock music scene really, is unfortunately pretty much dead. There is nowhere for these guys to play. There's nowhere for young bands to gain experience. There's no way for these young bands to make an actual living touring. And because young bands certainly can't make money selling albums anymore or anything like that, it's essentially eliminated rock and roll or rock music or anything where you play it as a band. It's completely eliminated that from the lexicon. And the only real reason why we still have a really healthy country music scene, which is not my scene personally, but I do appreciate the music, is because of Nashville and Memphis and Gatlinburg and places like that that still have an entire collection. And basically, we've got country music stars committed to building these clubs in these different locations, and they have live bands in those places every single night for young country acts and young country stars to come and get their feet wet and play with other professional musicians. And there's a rotation. If you go to Nashville, there's 25 bands playing at the same time on one night in the 20 or 30 different clubs that are there. Some clubs have 2 floors with 2 different bands playing on them. Nashville is in an unbelievable... Even if you're not a country music fan, Nashville is a place to go if you just want to see live music the way that it used to be when we were growing up. Now, maybe there's a club scene somewhere that exists. Maybe still there's something in LA, which was kind of the place that birthed that sort of stuff. But in 2020, there is nothing, or in 2025, all of the places in my local area that used to bring in acts like that, they're all gone. They're all gone. There's nowhere for them to play, which means there's nowhere for local bands that want to perform live to play around here either. We have basically a small club at the casino, which I believe has live music maybe once or twice a week. And then there is there's like an arena here where hockey and that sort of stuff is played. They get live bands in there. There's another bigger venue at the casino that I would consider to be like a medium-sized club. But they just don't get a good rotation, and the reason why is because, well, there's just not any young bands coming up anymore because there's not enough places for these guys to play in order to be able to make a living. And I don't know what the solution is, but I think it's really unfortunate that young people in the generations coming up now don't have any place to go and discover new bands or see live acts. There's just nowhere to go. There's just nowhere to go. Even the little clubs that used to have the guy sitting in the corner, DJing or whatever, that stuff doesn't really exist anymore either. It's all gone. And it's very, very sad, in my opinion, that all this stuff is basically totally out the window. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Also, what an awesome freaking weekend this was if you are a football fan. It wasn't quite as awesome for my fantasy football teams. I think I went 2-2 and I got absolutely destroyed in 2 leagues. I mean destroyed. Not maybe as bad as my poor wife. This is her second week playing fantasy football. And I'm pretty sure she's probably going to lose 163 to like 70 or 80. She got mud stomped. None of her players performed. She's a really competitive person. So she is not super happy about it at all. But we had a fun football weekend, a lot of close games. Of course, our birds, the Eagles, got a win. Go Birds! It was fun stuff. A little bit of surprises here and there. I was super hoping that the Giants would pull it off and beat the stupid Cowboys, but nope. They still suck. Not that the Cowboys are any good. They still suck too, but, they got a win, which is disappointing. Not that I'm looking for the Giants to get a win, mind you, but anytime the Cowboys are playing, I'm always rooting for the other team. That's just how this works. No offense if you're a Cowboys fan. I'm sure you're a perfectly nice person, and someday you might see the light and find another team. You never know. But if you grew up in Dallas, I suppose it's your team. I don't have a problem with people who grew up in Dallas who love the Cowboys. What I do have a problem with is people who grew up right down the street from the Philadelphia Eagles freaking stadium and still root for the Cowboys. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? That's all I'm saying. It's not a thing that should ever be happening. But, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. So, I had a great weekend. It was a fun one. We've still got 2 more games tonight. And I'm pretty excited that the NFL actually got the message and have decided not to put the games on overlap. So, hello Mary on TikTok. Say hi to us. It is perfectly fine. We do not bite in here. I'm pretty excited that the games are actually staggered. So yes, the second game on the East Coast will end at like 1 o'clock, but so what? It's not like I have anything else to do. I'll be watching it, I'll be watching. And hopefully lots of other people will be watching. It's the only form of mass entertainment that we get anymore is sporting events. It used to be... back in the day when Hollywood was good, you would go and everybody could go watch a movie on opening weekend, and then we'd talk about it around the water cooler on Mondays. We had that shared experience that does not exist anymore because, well, nobody cares about movies anymore because none of them are really all that good. And then when you... When I was growing up, obviously we had the shared television experience. New episodes came out during the week, and everybody saw them at the exact same time. So when we were standing around the water cooler at work, and there was a great show on, we would have the opportunity to talk about that because we all had that shared experience. And that doesn't exist anymore because there's too many streaming platforms. 90% of the shows on those streaming platforms suck, and there's no big events. There's no big movie events. There's no big TV events. There's only sporting events. That's all we have left to have shared experiences with, and that's why I think it's the last bastion of things that are really important. And I would love to see us go back to a more TV-oriented model for viewing, because first of all, when we got less content, the content was way better than what I think we get now because it's so spread out and garbage. But not only that, we had the shared event that we all came together and talked about, and people need to talk more. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. People need to talk more. We need to communicate more. That is the best way for us to come together and do better as a society, is to come together and talk more. Figure out that the guy standing over there who may have different views than you do is still an alright guy. He still has a wife and kids that he loves, and, they all enjoy each other's company just the same as you do, even though they might think a little bit differently. That's just the simple facts. That's just the simple facts. So, yeah, I think that concerts, TV, that sort of stuff, the shared experiences that I had growing up as a kid have disappeared, and I don't think it's good for society at all. I think it sucks. I think it's horrible. But that's just what I think. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments. That's why they're there. Have a conversation. What was the last time you guys went out to see a big concert, whether it's metal or country or just whatever? Who do you guys like? Who do you guys watch? I think the last show that I was at, man, might have been Trivium in a small club quite a few years ago. It's been a long time since I've been able to afford to go to a show, to be perfectly honest with you. Now they're so expensive that I basically just say no to everything. That's the other thing. Ticketmaster and all these ticketing services have gotten involved to the point where the band doesn't make any money. Nobody makes any money except for these stupid big business ticketing services. How's that good for anybody? Has it made buying tickets easier? Sure. But at this point, any venue could put together their own ticketing service in about 15 minutes using ChatGPT, launch the app, and sell their own tickets, and cut these guys out so that we can actually get affordable tickets. The venue can make money, the artists can make money, and, but no, they don't. In fact, a lot of these venues can't even get artists unless they use these ticketing systems because, the big business has to make their money. It's ridiculous. Oh. Jeff Davis says the best live show I ever saw was in 1991, Van Hagar at Hampton Roads Coliseum. Alice in Chains opened for them. Amazing show. That sounds pretty freaking awesome. I saw Van Halen with the original lineup back in the David Lee Roth era. Very, very cool. Very good show. It would be hard for me to think of... it'd be really difficult for me to think of bands that I haven't seen. One of the few bands I haven't seen that I really, really, really want to see is System of a Down. Haven't seen them. I really wanted to see King Diamond again. He was actually coming around. It was it was maybe a year before COVID. Somehow the show got canceled, then COVID hit. I have not been able to see him again in person, which that dude puts on an awesome show. I saw him in a little club back in probably the early 90s, I would guess. Maybe late 80s, early 90s. I was probably around 15, 16 years old. And saw him in a little club doing his thing. Really super janky special effects and everything because it was just a small venue. And it was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Dude just knows how to have fun, put on a show, entertain a crowd. If you've never heard King Diamond's music, it's interesting. It's different. It's creative. Dude uses this crazy falsetto voice, and most of his music is basically haunted mansion type storytelling or horror storytelling. So it's pretty creative and different. He's got some albums out there that I think are kind of almost must-hear metal. Probably Abigail, the original one, and then Conspiracy are two albums, two metal albums that if you've never heard, you should check them out. Very, very good. I had those on cassette, and I literally wore them out. So those were great. That was a great show. I think my first introduction to the kind of music that I'm really into nowadays was Anthrax, Testament, and Slayer in a small club that was probably about as big as your local McDonald's, maybe a little bigger than that. No seating, all mosh pit basically, and then it had a balcony up above where people who actually wanted to just watch the show and drink beer could be. But the whole entire floor was just one gigantic mosh pit. And that show, probably late 80s, absolutely insane. I think it might have, it wasn't on the Haunting the Chapel, but it might have been on the Rain and Blood album. It's that, we're going back that long. We're going back that far. Probably that was my introduction to what was called thrash metal back then. I don't know what it's called now. But man, that show was epic. That's one of those ones that's cool to be able to say you actually went to. Testament, it was Testament, Anthrax, and Slayer in the same show in a little tiny club. It was friggin' epic. New nickname, Metal Mike. Metal Muffin Man. I like it. I like it. Yeah, music is a passion, but I like all kinds of music too. It's not just metal. We often go on road trips, and it's always myself and Monica and Monica's sister, and man, we have some fun. I am a big fan of Christmas. You guys may not actually know this, but I'm a huge fan of Christmas, and so every once in a while, and you know, this happens more often than you might think, I'll just throw on iHeartRadio, put on the Christmas music station, and listen to Christmas music in July, because I'm a moron, and I love that stuff. It makes me happy. At the end of the day, what music is there for is to make us happy. And if I need a pick-me-up, if I just want to feel that Christmas feeling, I'll throw on the Christmas music in the middle of July with the air conditioner blasting while we're on our way to wherever we're going. And man, right away, instantly, just makes you feel good, makes you feel happy. Yeah, it's dumb, but whatever. That's what music is supposed to be about. Music is supposed to uplift you. It's supposed to make you happy or make you feel a certain way. One of the reasons why I love extreme metal, death metal, that sort of stuff, thrash metal. One of the reasons why I love that stuff so much is because, there are just some days where you've got all this built up, I don't know, it's almost like depression and anger, and you're just having a bad day. And I can go out in the garage, which I have a pretty decent system out there, or at least one that'll be loud. I can toss in the freaking heaviest crap that I got and just zone out for 45 minutes or whatever, for a half an hour on the loudest, angriest music that you could possibly imagine, and I'll walk out of there feeling like a completely different person. And that's the kind of stuff that music can do for us. And I think it's an absolute shame that it's disappearing. It's going away. And there you go. Hey, Santa's in the house, and he loves Christmas music too. You know what I'm talking about, Santa Claus. Christmas music is not just for the month of December at all. Christmas music is for any time that you need that Christmas spirit and that Christmas feeling in your heart. Anytime, any day, you toss it on there and you feel family, you feel faith, you feel that Christmas feeling. And that's awesome. That's what Christmas music can do. And that's what music does for all of us. It puts us in that place. I can hear, I'll put on 80s music on Spotify or whatever, and almost every song that comes up reminds me of something. I can remember, doing this or doing that while listening to that music. Or it's like a soundtrack for something that I used to love to do. Most of it is related to dating life or sex or whatever you want to say. But some of it's not. Some of it's related to, driving somewhere with my parents to go on vacation. Like the first, it wasn't the first Anthrax album. It was Spreading the Disease by Anthrax. I had purchased that before I went on vacation with my parents, and I had my headphones in and listened to that thing for 5 days straight while we were on vacation. And I can still remember walking around, because we used to go camping, walking around the campground, listening to that stuff, thinking, oh my gosh, never heard anything this freaking cool. Music just takes you right back to the moments when you heard it, including, high school dances. Do they even do that stuff anymore? I don't know. The prom, the music from the prom, the music from my wedding. I can listen to a song or hear a song from that era. Cheesy, lovey crap. That's what we had at our wedding. Cheesy, lovey crap. But it's still the songs we had, We were recently tasked with picking our walk-in music for my daughter's wedding. And Monica and I, Monica has basically what I would call an encyclopedia type knowledge of 80s music. Her and I can basically guess what the song is within 30 seconds of just about any 80s song coming on. So we are lockstep in that mode. And so we were tasked with trying to come up with an entrance song for our walk-in to my daughter's wedding. And of course, my first suggestion was one of her favorite songs, Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. My daughter then played that song and said, maybe that's not the best choice. Santa Claus says, I always get asked for my favorite Christmas song, and some people are shocked when I tell them Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC, which is a Christmas song. I do love that one. That's a good one. That is a good one. But then again, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, right? I don't want to start any fist fights in the chat, but it's still a Christmas movie. So, yeah, where was I at? Break Stuff was kind of, they said, no, maybe that's not the best. And if anybody has ever actually heard that, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about. It's a great song, but maybe not appropriate for all ages at a wedding. It's one of those songs where if you just put it on, by the end of that song, you feel better. You just feel better. And that one was next. So my next suggestion was White Lines. I believe it's by Grandmaster Flash. It's classic music. Monica didn't really think that one would fly, essentially because it's about doing cocaine at a party. And she thought maybe that was inappropriate for all ages. So, yeah, that one, White Lines got next to. So the next big one on the list, I thought Aerials by System of a Down would be cool, but it's probably not great walk-in music. It's got such a long intro. So the next good one that was suggested was probably the Monday Night Football theme, the older one. You know what I'm talking about. Coming out to that would be pretty cool. And since her wedding is happening on a Sunday and she's forcing everyone to miss football games, I thought it would be pretty funny. But inevitably, Monica and I were sitting there and I thought, you know what? I know the right song. It's a song that I my parents were progressive growing up. They let me listen to both types of music, country and western. Yep, I hear you, brother. I hear you. A song that Monica and I would spend hours and hours and hours separately as kids waiting for it to come on the radio. It's called The Promise by When in Rome. And the second that I told her, maybe that's the song, she was like, that is the song. That's the song. So that's the one we're probably going to come out to. And, if you've never heard that one, well, it's a good one. It's a good one. I have lots of good memories with that song. Makes me feel good, too. So check it out, maybe. It's not metal, though. So if you're expecting, break stuff or whatever, it's not what you're going to get. It's It's more of a love song, sort of. But, you know, there you go. So that was what we chose. And then once again, it's because music makes you feel a certain way. You know? It makes you feel a certain way. And that song makes both of us smile, think about us. And that's good. That's what a wedding is kind of supposed to do. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So what kind of music sets you guys off and makes you think about specific times or places or events in your life? I would love to hear about it, for sure. We've got so many people that pop in and out of TikTok, but never stick around, never say hi. It's disappointing. We need some of these TikTok folks to just say hi. Get involved with the conversation. Just going like this all day long, well, you know, you're not going to meet anybody new. You're not going to have fun. Just say hi. Get involved in the conversation. We're talking about music. How music can make you happy. It can relax you. It can even bring you out of depression and make you feel good. And how we can be disappointed about the death of essentially what we have now in music. Because there's just no place to see live music. There's no place to be entertained anymore. And if you can, it's so expensive and ridiculous. Let's see. Jeff Davis says, what's a song that you'll wait in the car until it finishes because it's that good? Oh, The Promise is definitely one of those. It seems like that's always one of those songs where we'll wait all day for it to come on, and then just as we're about to get out of the car, The Promise comes on the 80s radio station. And then we're both sitting in there jamming to that song. So that's definitely one. Man, there are others. There are definitely others. In fact, there was one maybe a week or so ago that came on the radio that Monica and I were kind of jamming to and sat in the car and just waited. And I don't remember what it was, but that's definitely a thing that happens, Jeff. It always seems like the song that you want to hear or that really good one comes on right as you pull up to your garage or to your parking spot in front of your house. Then you have to just sit in the car and jam to it. You're contractually obligated. You already put in all that time, effort, and energy just to put the radio on and wait for that song. You've got to finish the job. So that is definitely absolutely true. Especially true on some rock stations that play a pretty decent rotation of metal. Every once in a while you'll just hear that song that you haven't heard in ages. Kind of like if you listen to rock radio and it's the one time in 50 that they play something by Def Leppard that's not Pour Some Sugar on Me, and you just want to celebrate. Maybe they play Photograph or something actually good from Def Leppard. There's no way I'm missing out on that, because I know that I'm going to have to hear Pour Some Sugar on Me and want to gouge my frickin' eyes out and put a grenade in my mouth, 20 times before I get to hear something good again. So that is definitely anything that is not Pour Some Sugar on Me from Def Leppard, I will stick around and listen to. There's a couple songs I really don't like. There are a couple songs, and they're probably songs that that other people will think I'm nuts for. We used to go around back when live music was an actual thing. We had a group of people that would go around just to see local bands play. And, we'd get up and dance and have fun. Mostly they're just cover bands playing songs. And I can remember this younger girl that we used to hang out with one time. Sweet Home Alabama comes on. And I'm like, no. Monica's like, no. And we walk off, and I'm like, I just hate Sweet Home Alabama. I'm just done. And she turns to me and says, well, you're old. You've probably just heard it a lot more times. And maybe that's true, but I'm just done with that song. I don't care if it's the original or Kid Rock's version of it or whatever. I'm just done with it. I'm probably about the same place with Freebird, to be honest. I don't need to hear that again either. Let's see. My friends work in radio say that no radio DJs pick the music anymore. It plays in the corporate pay. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. Radio is just as corporate as everything else. That's why if you want to hear, people just playing whatever they want to play and having fun, you kind of got to go to iHeartRadio, where people put together a playlist or whatever of their favorite stuff. If you really want to hear anything unique and different, that's where you got to go. Once again, they've managed to make something that used to be a thing that people really enjoyed doing together miserable by just, selling out, making it corporate, making it boring. Boring. That's exactly what it is. And let's be honest, nobody listens to the radio anymore, and there's a good reason for that. Because there's not really any decent modern music, and, I don't know. I listen to sports radio a lot. That's mostly what you can, it's mostly what you can hear rolling around in my radio when I'm in the car. I'll listen to sports radio, hear them debate whether or not Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback or not. Are you kidding me? Freaking guy's been to the Super Bowl twice, won one. He's Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, he doesn't put up gaudy numbers. He just wins games. Boy, I hate that. I don't understand it. Is he? I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, that's the thing. I just played The Promise by When in Rome. Great song. The 80s were so awesome. Yeah, Jeff. And the funny thing was, that song was... I don't know that song ever really charted. I don't know that it made any big waves on any of the major radio stations or anything like that. So you really had to wait to hear it. You had to do some work if you were going to hear that song. So yeah, that's what, we would wait and wait and wait. And back then, of course, you could just record it on your recording device. So we would do a lot of that. And then the stupid DJ would talk over the beginning or the end of it. You just, come on, man. Just ruined it. Then you'd have to wait again to try to get the song. I think it was half of the music experience was that. It sounds so stupid, but it is what it is. That was growing up back then. I couldn't just go on Spotify and say, hey, play this song for me. It's not how it worked. Just like life, you got to put in some work for most of anything worthwhile. That's exactly right, Jeff. That is exactly right. Well, I think I've exhausted this topic. I had a lot of fun. I could talk about music and my experience with music and my love of music for a very long time. But the general theme of this particular live stream is live music is dead, and it's very, very sad. It's another shared experience that corporate USA has taken away from us because of greed and everything else. And I'm disappointed. I would love to see local clubs pop up again. But I think even if they did, they would have to find other ways to make money, because I'm not sure that there are enough bands out there touring that will hit live venues, smaller live venues anymore. The number of bands shrank, and the number of that sort of stuff happening shrank, because the number of ways and places for them to actually play live to make a living shrank. And it's a never-ending cycle. It will take a very long time for it to ever recover, if it does. My buddy said, because we're going to see Slayer this Saturday, and my buddy said to me, I think, this could be the last time. I'm not sure we're going to see him again, or if they're going to come around here again. Now, I've probably seen Slayer more than any other band, and it's probably not even close. I've probably seen them, I don't know, we've got to be close to 50 times, if not more. And he says it's kind of sad. This could be the last one. And I'm like, I'm sure it's my last one. He says, well, why? I said, because I'm not paying this kind of money to go see these shows. I'm just not. I said, so unless something in the music industry changes that allows acts like Slayer and Anthrax and all the ones that we loved growing up as kids to play in a smaller venue without Ticketmaster or somebody collecting $70 just for a service, I'm not doing it. I just don't. It's just, it's just stupid. We're just paying people who don't contribute anything to the music or to the system. They're killing it. They're just leeches. And I'm not really all that interested in contributing to it. I don't really even know how he talked me into going to this show with $150 tickets. But it will definitely be my last. It'll be the last time I see Slayer unless the music industry changes and the venues take back control of the pricing and we start to see smaller venues pop up with bands coming. But I don't expect that to happen. And he basically said, yeah, so that's pretty much it. And it is. Him and I used to go out every weekend to different venues around Philadelphia and other places and see bands like The Sword and Trivium and Mastodon. And all, these are relatively mainstream. Actually, there was somebody coming every other week. Can't do that anymore. None of those clubs exist. None of those clubs exist anymore. They're all gone. So, it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing. Hello, Eric. You guys on TikTok, you're allowed to say hi and get involved in the conversation. Holding up my Zippo. Great stream, Muffin Man. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Michael, for hanging out, regulating over there. Thank you, Santa, for coming in here and bringing us a little bit of Christmas cheer. There's just not enough of that out there. We also had One Punch stop by, hang out. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. This is a lot of fun. I'm going to continue to do these live streams, and I know where they're going to grow. I know. It's just a matter of time. We're going to have a blast. But today's subject was fun. I might do more of these music type things because it's very easy for me to get on here, hang out, and talk music for 30, 40 minutes. And there's so many people that could get into it as well. Needless to say, we're going to have to find ways to keep our TikTok audience engaged so that they stick around, hang out, and talk. So we're going to be adding some widgets and tools and other things so that we don't just have a big blank blue screen on our vertical streams. We're also going to give people a way to interact with the stream so they could change my voices and my faces and that sort of stuff. All that's going to hopefully, we're going to start to integrate that in this week, which will make these streams more entertaining and engaging. Now that we have all of the venues that we're going to be streaming to, we can also start to set up specific times. I would really like to start to stream somewhere in the 9 o'clock range every single day instead of later, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. 10 o'clock might be the time. 10 o'clock is probably going to be the time. I couldn't stream at 10 o'clock today because I had another video premiere that I obviously had to be on. But 10 o'clock is probably going to be the general time that we're going to be streaming these every single day. And yeah, we're going to have fun. We're going to build an audience. You guys are going to be able to get involved and have fun as well. I love you so much. Thank you for hanging out with me on this stream, giving me your musical feedback and all that stuff. You're the best. I have the greatest audience in the world. Thank you. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Love you.